welcome everybody to the Boys Crypto Show. Were we not talking about this last night? Ooh, baby, I am so hyped today. There has been so much money made in this space today across every asset, at least in the top 100. Unless you're sitting in Form or Tether Gold, you are a massive winner today. Some bigger winners than others, but man, I am hyped to be with each and every single one of you guys today here on this stream. Let's make sure everything's popping right. We got the audio, the video, the Capri Sun. Let's dive on in, everybody. Let's dive on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to take a minute to thank each and every single one of you guys that are hopping on in the chat early. MH and Wanda, always appreciate you guys being here. If you guys are here and you are new, please smash that like button. Helps me get the stream out to as many people as possible. And on a day like today, there's going to be a lot of people searching for this crypto pump-a-lump, baby. There are going to be a lot of people. Notably today, if anybody looked at Ethereum Pepe, the #1 meme coin on Ethereum, Ethereum reaching $2,200. That is absolutely crazy. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about BTC. We're going to talk about our active trade on Sui. We're going to talk about all the hottest projects in the game. But look at this. It's hard to pick one. Is it not hard to pick one? We're going to talk about Bitcoin dominance, why I think it's rolling over, and what the chart is saying that we are going. That is what the chart is saying that is likely to happen here in the coming hours and, you know, potentially the next 2-3 days. I'm telling everybody this right now. There's going to be a weekend, and it could be this weekend. There's going to be a weekend where Bitcoin does nothing and the altcoins rip like you've never seen before in your entire lives during a period of time with low liquidity. Some of the hottest projects in the game getting a little bit of love right here. Altcoins bouncing massively off their lows. Shout out to each and every single one of you guys that are here today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's start where we do every single day with the Bitcoin chart, baby. We had this flag. We've had this drawn out for a couple of days, speculating on this being a broken pattern. We had this flag breaking to the upside, coming almost all the way to target already up here to the highs. Bitcoin, can you believe it, is sitting at about $102,500, topping out today. Ooh! Topping out today at about $104,300. This was one of the biggest candles that we've honestly, I think this is one of the biggest candles we've ever seen for BTC. And talking about dollar amount, this was a 8% move in a single day. We had this candle back here about the same amount, right? A 6% move. This was a massive move for BTC. When you see up in these ranges, you don't see a lot of candles that are this size. I don't see a single candle besides maybe this one. Nah, I can't even say that. No candle up at these prices was this high, with the exception of this one, this complete dip and rip and dip. So where are we likely to go? I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be completely blunt with you guys. We're shooting for the highs. I think the highs are here and they're in sight. They're in target. Look at this. We talked about this over and over and over again. Here on the 4-hour time frame, let's zoom on out here and get a real brief view on the 4-hour time frame because it's the easiest to see. We broke above that high volume node, fell beneath it, broke above, flipped it to support. That told me, and we talked about that last night, right before this massive pump. We talked about this last night and we said, hey, you know, I even think this was this even in, this was last night at what time? At about 18. When we came on stream and we started to pump and we were talking about retesting that high volume node and looking for higher prices, and lo and behold, we did. This 4-hour retesting this high volume node here on the 4-hour time frame and on this macro range was the perfect entry point right here at about 96.2, and then boom, you went to the upside and you never look back. We are looking at targeting the highs here for BTC in just a single day. Look at this candle. Look at the strength of that candle. We have some massive things to talk about here. We're going to talk about what we're running into. We are potentially running into a triple top scenario. I'm not diving into that right now. I don't think we're going to get a triple top. I think once we revisit, I think we're targeting the highs here. Not just targeting the highs. I think the next push is going to likely bring us to $110,000 to $115,000 before Bitcoin does start to stall out. Why do I say that? Well, we're breaking past the 618-786 golden pocket Fibonacci zone. We returned previous support in previous support resistance flip. We even had it right here, and we turned that into support, baby, and boom, to the upside. We're passing this 786 zone, a known area where price likes to react, and you hardly got any reaction here. From the high to the low of this entire move right here, You got no reaction, falling through the 786 to the upside, right? If you flip this upside down, you're looking at a cup and handle. You're probably crapping your pants right now. Cup, handle. You're crapping your pants, dropping below the 786. That was the bears' hope. It really was, in my opinion, the way I'm viewing this market. And that's amazing for Bitcoin. I think is likely to come test the highs. We've been accepted back into this range. I think the new support, right? The new support directly beneath us is at about 96,000. You have a little here. This support resistance flip right here. Resistance, 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 right? And now that's the next area of support. The very beginning of this high volume node area that starts right here, sitting at about $99,000. And right now we're pushing up into areas where Bitcoin has spent less than 2 weeks of time. So we're getting very, very close to that massive price discovery moonshot to the upside that everybody has been waiting for. But I know what you guys are thinking today. Boys Crypto, my altcoin is screaming to the upside. Can you talk about that? Absolutely. Bitcoin is doing well, but I have to acknowledge this. The altcoins are doing even better. We had this last night. We talked about our box of remembrance. Forget about that. We're not there anymore. We had our time. We had our opportunity to average out into the market. Even just 2 days ago, we were in that box of remembrance. What's the box of remembrance? For those of you that are new here, the box of remembrance is the box of remembrance that we're going to remember when we're sitting up here at about $2.5 trillion, where I think the altcoin market is ultimately going to go at the top of this cycle. Could we go further? Sure. It's just where I'm going to start scaling out altcoins and positioning heavier into BTC. The altcoin portfolio absolutely screaming to the upside. Some of the hottest assets in the game. The ones that we own, baby. The ones that I own personally. Virtuals, the #1 winner today, up 48%, trickling over $2 again. That is so nice to see. Sui, our active leverage trade, screaming up over $4 right now as well. And man, you got Render up 11%, up at $4.75. Remember we were talking about that at $3? Woo! Feels so good right now to be in crypto. And what's driving this mood? Renewed market optimism. And I'll tell you what, I bet if we look at gold real quick, gold, baby, gold. Let's look at gold real quick. And you can tell if you get a dump on gold, you're looking at renewed market optimism. I'll tell you that. Why? Because people run the gold in uncertainty, and you did get a massive dump today on gold. Let's see it here. Yeah, you just got a massive dump here on gold. The 4 hour, the daily candle just closing here at 1800, right? And did we get it here on, whoop? No, that's 2 hours till the daily candle close. Where's gold at? Gold on the daily. Oh, gold, actually, this is a different market. So this candle's going to close a little early, but this candle was massive to the downside, even the past 2 days, because it started last night, right? And this coincides with this move to the downside, double top here scenario on gold. Gold may be rolling over. Is that a horrible thing? No, not necessarily. It's really, really good for risk on assets, because this signals to us that people are running out of safe assets and diving back on into those risk on assets at prices that people just cannot ignore. When Donald Trump comes out today talking, hey, we're making a deal with the EU, the first of many, China coming in this weekend, that to me is the recipe for success for these altcoins. China comes in, we make some sort of trade deal. Do I think it's likely? No, but I think we'll make progress in the right direction. Can't really get any much worse on the tariffs coming in from China at 145%. What are you going to do? Make it 300-400%? That just won't be practical. You guys gotta get the drink of men in there, the strawberry kiwi Capri Sun, baby. Boom to the upside. Drop your altcoins, drop your coins in the chat, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for you guys hopping on in tonight. You guys are absolutely awesome, showing your support to me and the channel. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you. So here we are. Looking at the total, or looking at, I lost my track, man. I'm just so excited. So that's my analysis here on Bitcoin. I want to dive on over into the total 3. The total 3 is a key chart to look at. This is looking at your average altcoin, every altcoin outside of Ethereum, right? Anything besides Bitcoin and Ethereum, this measures the market cap of that. And you got a massive, towering, bullish, engulfing candle today. The average altcoin is up today about 7%, almost unheard of. of on a chart like this. Absolutely massive. The only candle I see that is really bigger or comparable to this is back in the bull run, back on this massive run, this mini alt season. I'll talk about why I say this is a mini alt season. This mini alt season back here in November, where Total 3 added a monumental almost $600 billion to its market cap, and it's crazy. Just today, this was just a little fart in the matrix, everybody. I'm telling you, when altcoin season takes off with Bitcoin at the size that it is, there is going to be some massive FOMO in this space. We saw it today, just a little taste. That's just the beginning. Bitcoin's reaching back near its all-time highs, and people are starting to realize that, man, these altcoins are super undervalued, and I have proof. Right? So I'll dive on into that in just a second. Total 3 breaking out of what we showed yesterday to the T. This was drawn yesterday here on the stream. The inverted shoulder, head, right shoulder breaking to the upside, testing that daily 200 SMA. So far, getting a rejection. It's okay. No fear, no fear. Can we get a little bit of a pullback? Absolutely, right? We could cut about 20, $30 billion out of the market cap and still look amazing for retest to the upside, looking to go back to that $1 trillion level. And this is so important, everybody. This is so important. Why do I say this? Let's zoom out on this chart. Let's zoom out here. We have to acknowledge that we are coming up to not just once. This was the top for the altcoin market in 2021. Once this zone gets cracked, we have not been above a $1.11 trillion market cap for the altcoins ever. We never have, and this would be a break of the double top right here, very similarly to what Bitcoin was going through when it was approaching $60,000. And all of us know what happened when we cranked that $60,000 level, baby. We cranked this $60,000 level up here, and you know, we played around with this level right here. We tried to break above, but ultimately, when we cranked above that $60,000 level, we went on a moonshot mission. And let me say this very, very slowly. We went on a moonshot mission for Bitcoin, baby. Bitcoin is supposed to be the most stable asset in the crypto universe, right? Rallying 58% in a month, in a single month. That is serious, right? That is absolutely serious for an asset of this size. Now, looking at Total 3, we're not there yet. We didn't even crack the prior cycle highs. We tried, but we weren't able to get there. I think we're going to get there, and I think we're going to get there very soon, very fast. This is the weekly chart right here, the box remembrance. We're exiting it, and we're going to look back here and cherish that we had the opportunity and that we were talking about getting in the altcoins and buying. We had the sack, we had the stones to say, yes, we're buying altcoins at this juicy 618786 golden pocket Fibonacci lower high, and boom, baby, that golden pocket held up. That is your higher low, and now we're looking for the next higher high in the sequence, which I believe is going to come in at a towering. Let me show you guys this. I think the next high, right, the next high is going to come in at a massive 1.47 trillion and up to $2 trillion. Very, very possible for the next high based on the 1.618 and 2.618 golden pocket Fibonacci extensions. I think that is very, very likely. I think it's coming soon, and I think it's going to come fast, and I think it's going to catch the entire world off guard. If you guys hold crypto today, you're a very happy person. Shout out to each and every single one of you that are crypto holders here, man. I know it's been tough. I know it's been tough, right? I know. I've been holding the altcoins too, primarily in Bitcoin, but man, it's been tough to see Bitcoin drop from 110 down to $76,000. I think we got to. That was absolute carnage. Now back from once we came, honestly, doesn't even feel like it did just a few weeks ago, right? Like that feeling of that dump is gone. It's kind of in the back of my mind now. But I will never forget this. I will never forget that feeling down here for the alts. I'll never forget that feeling here at $72,000, $74,000 for BTC. I'm not going to forget this retrace ever, because this was the first time where I felt entirely okay being in Bitcoin even as it fell. In prior cycles, I didn't feel that way. This was the first cycle where I felt so confident in this asset that I knew with positivity that we were going to the highs. I still think this is a $1 million asset in the coming 5 to 6 years. And I think in the next 10 to 20 years, we could be looking, I think in the next 20 years, this thing's going to be sitting at a $10 million plus per coin basis. I think it's coming, and I think it's coming fast. And this is the basis of everything. My entire retirement is in Bitcoin, everybody. So I feel really, really good about this move, especially averaging in on a lot of on BTC and alts down in this zone, adding to not only my retirement, but my net worth now as an individual. Man, it feels good, baby. Oh, it does. All right, let's dive in to what I was talking about this being alt season, guys. This is going to blow your minds. And you know, if you've been here tracking this with me on the stream, this is the last thing I'll go over, and I'm going to drop on in the chat. Virtuals, VRA, Wanda, MH, I've got you guys. We're going to dive on into the hottest project in the game. Drop your coins, baby. Drop your coins. We're going to have fun tonight. This is all about you guys. This is all about combing on over the markets and finding the hottest setups in the game and where the next likely price targets are to go, regardless of the asset. I don't need to even know the name of the asset to be able to tell you guys that this right here, and of course I do, I pulled it up on the charts, right? This right here, it looks like to me the top for Bitcoin dominance, and I know it's looked like it several times, but this time is different. We have a massive, this is Bitcoin dominance on the daily. Today, as the altcoins rallied, we'd had a massive drop of about 1% in Bitcoin dominance. I know what people are going to say, 1%, that's absolutely nothing, right? Yes. Right, but Bitcoin is so big right now, over $2 trillion. 1% of $2 trillion, right? 1% of $2 trillion is $20 billion. $20 billion that shifted from BTC into the altcoins. That's just the beginning. The last alt season that we had not a 1% drop, but almost a 40% drop to the downside here. I am tracking this with all my heart and all my soul, everybody. The week turning red here on Bitcoin dominance. You don't see many of those, do you? But we've had 10 weekly green candles in a row for Bitcoin dominance. This is what I'm tracking for Bitcoin dominance. We go over this every day on the channel, and I have to till I'm blue in the face because I see this and I don't see anybody else pulling this up on the charts, everybody. Why is nobody in this space that I've seen? I'm not saying the only one who has this idea, but this, as far as I know, the inverted cup and handle, baby, the inverted cup and handle is screaming to us right now. Screaming and saying altcoin season is here and it's on the horizon. It's on the horizon. Why do I say that? Well, we have a beautiful inverted cup and handle coming up to the 786 golden pocket Fibonacci. Let me get out of this real quick. So not only are we coming into the 786 golden pocket Fibonacci, let me look at it on the daily. The daily looks weak. Weak sauce, baby. After a whole month, 2 months of pumpage for Bitcoin dominance, this is the first major bearish engulfing candle. We've engulfed the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost 8 days of Bitcoin dominance pumpage, falling out of this rising wedge here, looking to come and test the bottom of the pattern, which coincides with the daily 200 SMA. We lose that daily 200 SMA. I'm telling you guys, that's where I'm going to be screaming in the face that this is alt season. And why did I call earlier that this was a mini alt season, right? The last one that we had in November was a mini alt season. Look at this move. This was it. This was it on Bitcoin dominance. This was that massive move that you guys saw on the majority of the assets, right? This was it. That right there, that little fart in the matrix right here was the mini alt season where a lot of you guys saw. Now, not every altcoin was a winner, but a lot of the altcoins screamed massively to the upside, regardless of where they sit now, if they're further than the bear market lows. Regardless, a lot of the altcoins saw massive pumpage during this time. This was nothing. This was a 10% drop in Bitcoin dominance. Look what happened today on a 1% drop for Bitcoin dominance. And I think the target out of this inverted cup and handle, I don't think, this is what the charts say. This isn't what I'm saying. This is what the charts say. A break of this inverted cup and handle brings you down to about 30% Bitcoin dominance. Do I think we're going to get there? No, absolutely. There's going to be resistance here, and there's going to be resistance at this high volume node, right, or support coming to the downside. We want to see this roll over. If you're an altcoin holder, if you hold anything besides BTC, you want to see this happen more than, honestly, almost anything else in your life. This could turn your life around. If you catch the bottom, which I believe we have, the 786 coming up to the top of this resistance zone, the 618, 786 golden pocket Fibonacci retracement of this inverted cup and handle on Bitcoin dominance is screaming to me that the Bitcoin dominance is cooked. It's cooked. So here, I am speculating on a move to at least the bottom of the channel. That's the first area where we're likely going to get a little bit of, a bounce. After that, look at these giant gaps here in the VRVP. Everybody knows that watches this channel over and over what these gaps symbolize. Areas of low liquidity where not a lot of orders were in. And I'm not talking about this from a price perspective, but what I'm talking about is our ball rolling down the hill scenario. You get here on the weekly, and I have to be zoomed out. I know it's kind of hard to see, but I have to be zoomed out for the updated VRVP. So here, I'm going to show you guys. The ball rolling down the hill scenario, if we could drop beneath this support zone, is insane. Right? Ball rolls down the hill. These gaps are insanely massive on BTC dominance. And look at this, what happened last time. This toppled in about a 4-month time frame. This is a weekly chart, right? So each candle is a week's worth of time, 43% to the downside. Whatever you saw today on your altcoin, imagine that multiplied by 43. And I'm not saying that's going to be the exact result, but that's what an alt season can bring you if you are in the right projects, the right coins at the right time, right? And you guys know what coins that I hold here in my portfolio, and I'm very positioned for this. I think this will happen, and I think it'll happen very, very fast. Now, could Bitcoin dominance continue to pump, right? Is this for sure the top? Of course it could continue to pump. Of course, right? This thing has been on a massive run to the upside. And if we crack through that 786 on the weekly, and I'll show you guys what that level is, about 66.5, right? About 66.5. We crack through that level, I'm going to be kind of like a Bitcoin super cycle fan. And why do I say that? Because I feel like if we violate that 786, we're destined to come and test these highs. If we come up and test these highs, right, and Bitcoin dominance has violated this div, right, on the weekly over and over again, could we be getting it again? Yes, it's starting to form right here. I see that. It's starting to form, so weekly bearish div suggests you crack this low before you crack this high. I think all the recipe is made right now for a turnaround in Bitcoin dominance. If you don't get that, a crack of this 786 up here at about 66.34 on the weekly time frame, and I'll take a wick. I don't care. I'll take a wick. But if we get a close with the 786, that to me screams major weakness in the altcoins, and Bitcoin is likely to outperform the average altcoin, in my opinion, over the course of this cycle. So right here, I'm speculating on this being the top for Bitcoin dominance. A huge move to the downside looking to ensue, and I think that's very likely to happen. It's going to happen fast. You guys are seeing it right here on the day. Look at some of these percentages, everybody. Look at some of these percentages. I'm telling you that during last alt season, you saw 5, 10, 20 X's. This is nothing compared to what you can see during a proper alt season. Keep that on your radar. This is a space. This is why I'm here. This turns people's lives around. This is the most likely way, in my opinion, that you can make it out of whatever you deem is the rat race, right? Whatever your position in life is, wherever you are, no matter, like, if you have it horrible or even if you think it's good, this space can put you levels above where a lot of other people are. I know a lot of people in college, the net worth is screaming above a lot of people who have graduated college, right? And this space, to me, the traders that are online, right? A lot of the traders that I deem as successful, Jason Casper, right? Sam Price, they don't rely on what they did in school to make money. They relied on this trade and their ability to understand how price moves in the charts. And some of those guys are my inspiration, man. Shout out to Sam Price, the Crypto Lifer. Taught me a lot of what I know. Jason Casper, an amazing trader. Check out their channels as well. They stream at different times than me, but man, there are some great traders in the game, and they have a lot of knowledge to offer. Shout out to those guys and for helping me gain the basis of knowledge that has allowed me to earn income from this. And not even really right now, I don't have a job right now, right? This is my job. This is what I do, and I can't tell you guys how much I love it, baby. How much I love it. And you're legs above. Even if you're here on this stream, you are legs above so many people. Only about 4 to 6% of people here in the United States and across the world own cryptocurrency, right? A lot of people don't even know what we're talking about. That's how early we are. That's how early we are. The mass adoption phase is not here, in my opinion, not yet. I think countries, governments getting on board, and we've got that with the news of the crypto strategic reserve. We'll see if there's more coming out about that. We still have the tax-free U.S. crypto that's kind of levying there in the air, and the trade war getting resumed, the trade war getting solved, and potential interest rate cuts. This market is brewed for another alt season. This market is brewed for a massive rippage to the upside. And if you guys think these are big numbers, it's absolutely nothing. We'll take a look at this on the yearly. When we look at this on the yearly, and you see almost all of these, I don't want to say all of them. It's not true. It's not going to happen. Not all of them are going to be green. But when you look at this on the yearly, and you see some of these big green bubbles, right? A lot of these are going to come and flip from where they are to positive green bubbles over the course of the year. And over the course of the next, I believe, 3, 4, 5 months are going to be some of the hottest opportunities opportunity in this space for the next half of a decade. I think it's so important to be here right now. And shout out to each and every single one of you guys that are here. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Let's dive on into the chat. We're going to start with Wanda. Thanks for kicking us off here, Wanda, with Virtuals. Hey, let's give a shout out to everybody in the chat that's here. Hey, Carol, my mom. What's going on, Mom? Hey, how you doing? I'm glad that you're here. Thanks for jumping on in the stream. Christoph, Sid Nasty Kid, brother. Got your shirt sent off, brother. I hope you're getting that before the weekend, hopefully. Shout out to you. Yeah, Wanda and everybody that's here, man. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody's support and diving on into this with me. All right, here we go, baby. Here we go. Let's start it off strong with Virtuals. Virtuals, one of the altcoins I hold here, one of the hottest coins in the game. If you're a speculative investor and you ignore Virtuals, right? And you ignore Virtuals or have not done your research on Virtuals, I highly recommend you do a little bit of a deep dive into this project. This is some of the hottest technology I think that is here in the game. Apple just announcing the other day that they're diving into the AI space, sending the Google stock tumbling, making a, I want to say accusation, but making a claim that they can get rid of the standard search engine. They don't need it anymore. They say they have an AI that they're working on that can do it and will replace the standard search engine. Look at this world evolving, baby. And those AIs are going to need a way to transact information. They're going to need a way to transact currency eventually. And Virtuals is building a protocol and has built a protocol that has allowed you to not only create agents of your own, experiment with other people's agents, but man, in a limited supply on a platform that allows AIs to not only communicate with one another, but exchange information in a way that's secure and airtight. Man, this thing is a massive underdog player in the space, and nobody's talking about it. Why is nobody talking about it? Because it ran up to about $5 and came down here to some of the hottest prices that you'll ever see, baby, that you'll ever see on this asset. You will not, in my opinion, visit 50 cents again for Virtuals. I do not see $1 Virtuals. I do not see $1. I don't see us cracking this low again at about $1.26. We were talking about this in our box of remembrance, baby, and we were averaging in at some of the juiciest prices in the game, and bam, you guys multiplied your money 2, 3, 4x depending on where you are, and that's on spot, baby. If you're in a leverage position, shout out to you. You guys are in massive gains. Some people I've seen have a 10x position from down here, and you 40x your money in the matter of weeks, baby. Not even weeks, just the last 10 days? 10 days, that only place in the world, in my opinion, that you can 40x your money in 10 days is the casino. Unlikely. And crypto, baby, and crypto. All right, so we speculated on this flag idea here. Obviously, Virtuals did not care. Bounced off the bottom, bounced off this daily 200 SMA. We talk about this every single day. We talk about this red line, this magic red line that we put on the chart that is so easy. It is a red line that sells you. It says, hey, get out here. We're about to dump. Oh, hey, get in here. We're about to pump, right? And you can go back and look at the 200 MA on every major asset that you love. Yeah, we're about to dump. We broke it. We're about to dump, right? You bounced a little bit. You're likely to get a pump. You broke below it. Yeah, we're dumping. We're dumping. You get above it, we're definitely going to go on a pump. You got a bounce here and a pump. The 21 curving up in the price action. I think this thing can do some massive damage. I think it has the potential to break into the top 20 again, baby. And this thing is looking to go on a ride that I think nobody expects. The team is super smart. I love the project as a whole. And this looks like a beautiful cup and handle pushing to the upside. A bull flag here. Let's see it on the 4 hour. Yeah, you got a nice little flag here that swept the liquidity to the downside, the good old dip and rip. You know how the market makers like to do it, baby. You know how the market makers like to do it. That dip and rip out of the top of this beautiful bull flag. Conservatively, you could take it to where it's at almost right now, up to about 239. Or if you're a ballsy trader and you say, hey, that was the bottom, take the whole flag, baby. Take the whole flag back up to 288. Looks very, very good for virtuals. I think this thing could do some towering damage. And I have proof too. Look, if you have doubt of whether, oh yeah, we've already pumped massively, I encourage you guys to look at the bigger time frames. Look at the bigger time frames. Let's click on this on the daily. On the daily time frame, baby. Look at these stochastics. You are not overbought. You are oversold. You are oversold on the stochastic RSI oscillator, saying momentum is shifting to the. You're still pointing down. This is still saying that the selling pressure is not. This is saying that the bears, right? And it's a little bit of a lagging indicator, but the bears are still in control. And you know that topped out here. When this turns around, look at this. When the RSI goes up, you get a pump, right? When the RSI curves and gets to the bottom, you go to the top, pump. When the RSI is at the bottom, you get a little bit of a pump, right? When it's at the top, you come to the bottom, but you're not at the top. You're at the bottom, and you're at $2.06. Man, I'm just so hyped today, man. I'm so hyped today. If you're in this space and you're investing in almost anything, you're in the gainer, not just in the gainer, you are a winner today. Shout out to each and every single one of you guys. I know this crypto community here on the Boys Crypto channel are all winners today. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to you guys, man. I'm just so happy, man. I'm just so happy we got this move. Did anybody think that we'd be at 102,000? We touch 104,000 today? Anybody call that? I said we get a move, and I think it's likely we go and touch 100K. I didn't see 104. I don't think anybody caught 104K, and that just goes to tell you that nobody knows truly what's going to happen in this market, right? People waiting for better prices. What are you doing right now on virtuals if you were waiting for lower? What are you doing right now on virtuals if you were waiting for lower? You're waiting for $1, right? When you're at $1.26, you're waiting for $1. Now you're sitting at $2. Do you FOMO in now? That's a hard question to ask. Do we ever buy this? Do we ever buy this, right? Here on this channel, we don't. We're not going to buy right now. Why would we do that? We were buying in our box of remembrance, right? So it's a tough thing to call right now. Stochastics curving very, very nicely to the upper direction. I think there's continuation here for virtuals, but the harder you pump, right, the bigger and you could get some candles up here to 369. You could get some massive candles, some follow through for virtuals. You really can. Look at this asset. This thing has been sold off since the high here on January 1st. This is a relatively new asset that came out, earlier in 2024 and got absolutely no love until it massively took off around election time. This thing can revisit the highs. This thing can go on massive. And you know what's cool about this sell-off? Let me show you. So whenever you're going on a blue skies breakout, you have no targets, right? There are no targets that you can measure with the exception of the Fibonacci extensions. The first Fibonacci extension for virtual sits up here at about $8.20 and then $13. The market cap supports it. What's the market cap right now of virtuals? Virtuals, baby. Virtuals. Let's see where it sits. Virtuals protocol at 62 at 1.4 billion. I think this thing definitely has the potential to 10x. I think it definitely can. You're sitting at a $1.34 billion market cap. You're sitting like a 10x will put you at 13 billion. And you're not even going to be in the top, or are you going to be in the top 10 at 13 billion? I think you will be. Yeah, you will be. So if you got up to where Sui is right now, you would 10x your money on virtuals. And I think it has the technology and the power to do it. And man, I can't stop talking about virtuals, everybody. You guys know how I feel about that. I think this is the big winner of 2025. And I think this thing is going to do some massive damage, potentially cracking up here into the top 6, 7. I know I'm going to be bold in saying this. I know what people are going to say. Oh, that's crazy, Boys Crypto. I think there will be a brief flash of time where Sui does overtake the top. I think Sui's going to get over Solana this cycle. I'll say it. I think it will. Not in price. It will not get to $160. I will reiterate that. But in market cap, I think an 8x here for Sui is more than possible. $20, $25 Sui is on the table. I'm going to be a little more conservative and put my price targets around $12 to $16. But I think 2025 is on the table when we get, if we do get those massive, like the big Pokemon partnerships and stuff. That's what I'm seeing for Sui. Oh man, I get crazy. I was looking over virtuals and I jumped on over to Sui. I'm just so excited, man. I'm just so excited. But yeah, this is a massive zone that we're coming up into here, about that 339 to 420 level. And I know it's a big zone, but it's a reality where we say if a lower high is likely to come in, it's likely to come in where? At that golden pocket Fibonacci retracement zone, that bearish retracement from the swing high here, up here between 339, 420. You break 420, you're coming for the high at about 533. You break 533, you're gone. And with the way Bitcoin dominance is looking right now, I wouldn't shy away from the altcoins, everybody. I'm not telling anybody to do anything with their money, but to me, us in this community, we're already positioned. We're positioned. I don't want to have to make the decision. Oh, should we buy now? Is it FOMO time? It definitely could be. Look at this. Some of these candles back here. Look at the FOMO here. If you got in here, you were safe. Here, safe. If you got in here, you're crapping yourself, right? You had a massive retracement back here on virtuals of 36% in 2 days. I don't want to ever see that on my portfolio, right? No one wants to see that, right? On any asset that you get in, you don't want to get in and then see a 30% dump the next day. That's devastating. That's devastating. That's what I'm seeing for virtuals, Wanda. You have a warning zone between 339 and 420. You crack past 420, I see the highs and beyond, and potentially up to this $8.20 level. This is going to take time. This is the daily chart, right? And with the momentum that virtuals is moving, it's actually kind of crazy. 3 white soldiers forming on the weekly stochastics, pointing violently to the upper direction, and man, boom to the upside, boom to the upside. Hey, Sin Nasty Kid, I see you, brother. I got you. Yeah, that 102K call. You're an absolute legend, man. Boom to the upside. We went even past that. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. That's Virtuals for you, Wanda. Thank you for dropping that on in the chat. Let's move on here. Let's move on. MH wants VRA. What happened, brother? I'll tell you. I'll tell you what happened. I haven't looked at VRA. Give me a second to pull up the chart. Let me tell you. Wow! What did happen for VRA? This is the Bybit chart. What happened? If you guys know what happened for VRA, I would love to hear. That to me is suspicious. That's not suspicious. That is that's the team selling, brother. That has to be. Interesting. Hey, I appreciate you dropping that on my radar, man. VRA. Look, does this not remind you of Mantra DAO? You don't lose 40%. You don't lose 78% of your value after you've already done. Look, first of all, you're not going to see a dump of 26 minutes or 26% of VRA. I don't know. What's the market cap of this thing, man? This thing, what in the world happened? Veracity. Whoa, brother. Whoa. What happened to the 800? Oh, this is on the yearly. Okay. Yeah, so this is why it's important to be invested in. It lost 219 positions today. VRA, baby. Hey, I gotta go over here to X, type it in. And here's what I do, right? Whenever I don't know anything, or whenever I don't know something about a coin, right? You type in this VRA, and you're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear it. This guy doubled his VRA. What in the world? What did VRA crash from $36 million market cap to $21 million within 2 hours? Delisted from centralized exchange OKX. It wasn't a secret dump of the team. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to do a little bit deeper of a dive, man. That is insane. Yeah, some people were gonna say the S coin, right? The S coin not looking good. Look. Mantra DAO did the same thing, everybody. Mantra DAO Ohm. Mantra DAO, the team claimed it was nothing. And this thing's done. This thing's dead. I don't care. I don't care if you get a little bounce. I don't care. I will never have faith in this asset ever. Ever. Look, this was the big rug pull of the year. 86% on an asset that was trading up in the almost 10 billion. Was it not at $10 billion at one point? It was, man, massive letdown on the real world asset aggregator, Mantra DAO. What a devastation for the community. Oversold on the daily massively. TA isn't even going to apply to this anymore, in my opinion, except on the very small time frames, but I don't care about those. This lost my faith. I never own the coin. I never will own the coin. And Mantra DAO to the depths. This is not a dip. This is a rug pull and you got wrecked. It is what it is. I'm sorry to everybody. My heart goes out to the community, right? Because it was a very, very strong project. And I thought the project was even strong, even though I didn't own any. I thought the project was fine. I didn't see anything wrong with it, and it was getting some of the biggest pumps of the past year. Look at this monumental uptrend that it had. Did you have any reason to see? And look, this candle, you're like, wow, that was a day? No, it was 2 minutes. It was 2 minutes of time. Can we go back here and see that? I don't know if we can. A minute of time. Let me see here. All right, everybody. My dogs are absolutely going crazy. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Hey guys, sorry about that. They were going absolutely nuts. I could hear them through the mic, and I was like, woo! Right, all good, all good, all good. Much love, everybody. Much love. Thank you for sticking around with me, baby. Thanks for sticking around with me. All right, let's dive on in. VRA, man, I don't know what happened. That's an absolute disaster. It looks like that. There's nothing that could do that. Man, this guy called it out. I don't know. I don't know. See, this is the stuff you got to stay away of our community. Right, when a team does that, you don't have a community anymore, man. You got backstabbed by the people that you trusted. So I'd be careful, man. I'd just be careful. I don't know much about what happened, and I'm not gonna pretend like I do. But to me, anytime I see candles like that, this candle to me, if I looked at it, I don't care what the name is, I'd be out. If Bitcoin did that, if Bitcoin dropped 99% in a day, it's 80% in a day. That'd be like Bitcoin tomorrow waking up and it being $10,000. How would everybody feel? Like, I'd be like, all right, crypto's a scam. I'd be out. I'd be out. I'd be out. I'd be out of that project anyway, right? And if Bitcoin dropped 90%, best believe the altcoins will. That'd be crazy. So yeah, I mean that to me is out. That's out of the question. That's out of the question. All right, let's keep on going down, baby. Hey, did I check Pepe? I have not checked Pepe yet. I did see it on the bubbles as being one of the big winners of the day. Shout out if you're a Pepe holder, the #1 meme coin on what Ethereum, and Ethereum making the comeback potentially of the. Honestly, of the decade since Ethereum's existence, it hasn't had the struggles that it's had over the past 3 to 4 months. But yeah, that's absolutely crazy. So let's dive on in. Let's dive on in and see what's going on. So Pepe, #1 meme coin on Ethereum. This thing's hot, man. It's hot. And look at these meme coins. We had this drawn yesterday. A lot of the altcoins, a lot of the meme coins are sitting in this inverted shoulder, head right shoulder. We said, hey, this is reset stochastics to the upside. Do not be surprised if Pepe goes on a monumental screamer. And from yesterday up to where you are right now, a 32% pump a lump, baby. We called that yesterday on the live. I thought it would take a little bit more time, honestly, but some of these meme coins, we talked about it, they could get some massive squeezes to the upside. A lot of short interest from this massive drop, right? From this massive drop, this massive oversold condition, or this massive oversold condition that Pepe has been in, even here on the weekly, coming out of that, looking really, really good for a reversal here. You're reclaiming some key areas that Pepe needed to get above this prior support, resistance, flip, support, or resistance, got above, support, fell beneath, struggled in that range, got above, support on the way down, resistance, got above, support, and now you're off to the races to the upside. What's in store for Pepe? Well, you know, if Ethereum continues to return to its former glory, if you want to phrase it like that, Pepe's gonna do the same, baby. Pepe's not gonna, I don't think Pepe's gonna do the same. I think Pepe's gonna do more damage than Ethereum. I really do. This is the #1 meme coin on the chain that's been beaten down absolutely massively. So that's what I'm looking at, baby. That's what I'm looking at for Pepe. I think it's very, very likely you're gonna get continuation here to the upside. Oh, this 4-hour candle's not looking super strong, and it's gonna be looking like that on all the coins. Like even looking at Bitcoin, does this candle on BTC not look very, very similar to Pepe? Look, go back and forth. It's the exact same chart. Why do I say that? Because almost everything in the top 100 trades hand in hand with BTC, regardless of the percentage gains. Even though Pepe is up 32% on the day, right? The candle structure is still the same. And just because Pepe's market cap is so much lower and there's a lot more, I guess, retail interest that will start popping in, especially during after hours, you can get those massive short squeezes to the upside. So that's the purpose of that with Pepe, baby. That's the reason that Pepe can squeeze massively to the upside. So even Bitcoin reclaiming $103,000 here, that's absolutely crazy. Pepe to the upside looks really, really good on the, let's see it on the smaller time frames. Yeah, the 1 hour, look, we're going to have a cool off period. We're not just going to go straight up. That's true. With that being said, this is a very nice parabola that's forming on Pepe. I'm not eliminating the possibility, but I'd like to see this 21 start curving up and catching the price action. Whenever price is going up, you can see we respect that 21 moving average. Look at that. Touch, 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 touch. And it's sitting all the way down here at about 8.5, 85, whatever, however you want to say it, 0.00000085. So I think there's likely going to be a period of consolidation. You are massively overbought and your stochastics are cooked. With that being said, they're pinned. Is there more in the tank? If Bitcoin gets some more juice, baby, these altcoins are going to rip. That is just my humble opinion on these altcoins. If Bitcoin gets more juice, the rest of these altcoins, especially the ones that have been massively oversold, are going to rip like you've never seen before. I'd be interested to see what Cardano is doing. Wow, Cardano kind of underperforming. And, you know, that's really interesting. I haven't seen that. I mean, we've seen that, Cardano. You know, one of the coins out of the strategic reserve, I thought those coins would be doing better. But, you know, surprisingly, what are the coins? All the coins in the strategic reserve are kind of underperforming. You see all the coins, Cardano, Solana underperforming at 9.3%, and XRP today, I didn't even see XRP at 7.7%. A good pump for those assets, don't get me wrong, but severely underperformed the others today, the others outside of the top 10. So really interesting, really interesting. All right, let's dive on in. Pepe, baby, Pepe. Hey, shout out to you, Christoph. Yeah, man, if you're in Pepe, man, you're sitting in some juicy gains today, some massive juicy gains. With the third biggest winner in the top 100, shout out to you, man. Massive gains, massive gains. All right, let's dive on in. All right, Mom, what's going on? What's going on? Sinestigan, boys, is Mom. Yeah, 102K, Sinestigan, shout out for the call. MH said that's rude. What's rude, brother? What's rude? I didn't mean to be that's rude. I didn't mean to, look. I didn't mean to say that it's rude. Nothing, I mean, look. Nothing I'm saying is rude. I don't know much about the project. I'll be completely honest, but to me and my investing, like whenever I'm investing in anything, if you see a candle like that, man, it just screams caution, right? I'm not being rude, man. Much love to you. Much love to your family. It did get a bounce here, but I can't lie to you, man. Whenever I see something like that, you have to understand, right, why that happened. And I don't know why that happened, right? If there was a liquidity issue, if it was a certain exchange, it got delisted. I don't know. So I just encourage you to do your research on that, man. I'm not saying it's going to zero or anything, but it won't have my money personally, right? Neither will Mantra DAO, neither will anything that looks like to me at a single glance that it had some kind of shady action with the team. And I'm not saying that that's what happened, but I'd like to hear from the team. I want to hear what the team has to say, because if you don't get a clear, concise answer from the team and what the team has to say, like they have to respond to that. They have to respond to a 90% dump on any asset. Like they lost 90. If Amazon lost 90% of its value tomorrow, the world would go absolutely berserk, and Amazon would not be the same. They won't be able to pay their employees, like from a company perspective, right? So that's what I'm looking at. It's just my opinion, man. I'm not saying it's going to zero, but I'm saying that you, as a VRA holder, if you hold VRA, are owed an answer. So I would just dive on in and see what you could dig up on that kind of on that move. Could it be some of the best prices? You know, sure, but let's look at Mantra DAO, man. Let's look at Mantra DAO. Mantra DAO said the same thing. This is what Mantra DAO said. The team said it wasn't us. It wasn't us or anything. But how do you reinstill investor confidence after any kind of move like this? Even if this move wicked up to here, even if you had a massive drop like this, right, on the weekly, and you got to bounce up to here, how do you reinstill investor confidence that isn't going to happen again? I don't know. I don't know. So just something that you're owed, man. I don't mean to be rude in any kind of way. Much love to you, brother. I don't ever mean to be rude to anybody. All right, it's just my opinions on the market, man. Just for entertainment. I'm here for you, man. I'm here for you. I appreciate you. DM me anytime on X at BOYCECRYPTO102, man. I'd be happy to answer more like in-depth questions about the project. We could dive on into it together. Reach out to me, man. I appreciate you. And I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude to you, man. I hope you didn't take that as being rude. It's just my opinions on the market, brother. Just my opinions. All right. Oh, okay. VRA. Okay. I was feeling like a little pressure, man, in my artery. I was like, God, man, I didn't think I said anything rude, but shout out to you, MH, and shout out to you, man. Yeah, I'll do a little bit of a dive into that. I have to. And I own Sin Nasty Kid Samanches from what he asked me yesterday as well. Got my notebook here. It's kind of scribbled with a bunch of stuff. I had some meetings and stuff today. So yeah. Here we go, baby. Here we go. MH, what's up, man? I was like, good night. Good night. All right. Here we go. PMG Corey, fantastic call out with the long on Bitcoin. Shout out to PMG Corey, man. Yeah, I don't know if he's here with us tonight, but man, made a legendary call on BTC on that long. Anybody who got into a BTC long yesterday reaped the rewards to the upside. Look at this. Honestly, this could go parabolic. Let me get rid of all the Bitcoin work right here, and let me show you guys what I mean. So on parabolic moves, right, you'll have a state of, this is FOMO, right? This is when you're going to get into this parabolic, you could get a moonshot, and based on this parabola, could you see 100K tonight? Yeah, you could see 110K tonight. You definitely could, but it may be like a wick, a blow off top, because once this parabola gets cracked, right, you're likely to get some shady price action in here before you go on continuation. And ultimately, right, I'd rather see some consolidation right now at about 102K. Would you guys rather just pump to 110K to all-time high? Because then we're going to be sitting here on the channel and being like, you know, we've had 35 green candles in a row on the 1 hour time frame. You know, do you guys think we could keep going? And then you're like, yeah, there's not a lot to go on. And in a blue skies breakout, I show you guys the 1.618, but then, you know, you're kind of just... You're gambling at that point if you're entering or exiting positions, right? You're playing a game of chicken to see who sells first, and you got to wait for some kind of consolidation before you dive on in. So, and Bitcoin, look how far we are from the highs. Man, this is insane. This is getting close. We're above the point of control. The high volume nodes, stochastics are, you know, you're cooked on the stochastics, but you're pinned at 100. You see that? I can't move my mouse over there, but in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you can see we're pinned at 100, 100. The marked and the signal line are pinned now on the 4 hour. Very, very powerful. The daily is reset. Look at the daily. We're not even overbought on the stochastics on the daily, and the RSI still has plenty of room to go. I think we're looking at the highs, and I think we're looking at the highs very, very soon, whether that be in the form of a wick or just continuation on this massive parabola to the upside. I think that's very, very likely. This was a parabolic move. If you guys remember back here, right? This was a parabolic move on the daily, and you can see here that parabola, what happens when it cracks. You had this massive parabolic, like upwards trending, like just monumental. And then when it cracks, that's when you saw this indecision doji, and then you had some massive, colossal craziness when it comes to price action. Are we going to break the highs or not? And then it's like you gotta have a bullish consolidation pattern, which you kind of did. We had that massive liquidation. Somebody decided to take some profits right here. That market order really threw the market. That market sell that somebody did of like, it was like 30,000 Bitcoin that caused massive liquidations to the downside and to the upside, right? Like when we had that rebound. So that cleared the market of a lot of liquidity, but it brought a lot of confusion in this space. Seeing a big, imagine this back here, right? I think you could go back here in time. Can you? I know you can. Let's see here. Rewind. I know there's a rewind function. Let me see. Boop, 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 boop. I'm going to have to, here we go. Right back here. Oop. No, I'm getting rid of that. I'm not going to mess up my charts. Nope. I'll play with that in my off time. But yeah. So back there with that indecision doji on the daily, just imagine you don't have all these candles right here. Let's look at this like, just as it is, right? You can't even see it with the... But say you didn't have any candles past this. How do you judge that? How do you judge that? And you know, I wasn't streaming at this time, right? I didn't jump on into streaming yet, but that was a period of confusion for me. Like, if you guys are looking at the charts right here, you can say, oh, we're in a bull flag. We drop below, we back up, we're in a bull flag. And, you know, ultimately the market makers played their game up there in that $105,000 to $110,000 range. And we're approaching that range very, very rapidly. Right now, Bitcoin's sitting at 103K. All right, diving on in. 15X with 34,000. Yeah, man, that's insane. Again, risk management, everybody. 15,000, like 34,000 is different to somebody than it is the other, right? If PMG Corey's like, hey, you know, a little bit more, you know, fortunate, right? Like maybe he has $34,000 to lose, right? Maybe you have $1,000 or $100. It doesn't matter. Just being here, being in this space is the potential to vastly change your life, right? Like everybody's perspective on money is different, right? So like if I had $5 million drop in my lap right now, I would know what to do with that money to not only never work again, but never have to worry about retirement, paying off a home or anything. I live pretty modestly, right? I don't have any rich aspirations. I don't ever see me being worth 100 mil or 150 mil. I don't need that, right? It's just my, what I want in life. I don't know what you guys want in life, but yeah, but there are people out there that would kill for $100. There are people out there that would kill for $20, I'm sure, right? In a lot of the other countries, outside the United States, those less fortunate to us. So definitely the perspective on money is different. That's why I like to focus on the percentage gains, right? The percentage gains that you make on these trades, because it doesn't matter if you turn 10 into 20, 100 into 200, or 100,000 into 200,000. That's the same trade, right? It's the same trade. It's just different amount of margin. So shout out to each and every single one. Yeah, Corey meant that, but that's an insane amount of money. That's an insane amount of money, man. Legend, absolute legend. All right, diving on in. Yeah, Corey, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. So nice again. I appreciate you clarifying that, MH. What's up, man? Yeah. Drop your coins in the chat, guys, if you guys want to do a little bit more of a deep dive on any of these coins here. I'm just going to kind of filter in here and see if there's anything that sticks out. TARS AI making the comeback, baby. Making the comeback. And we talked about this yesterday. I said yesterday, and this is just a reality, right? TARS AI. I think we talked about this yesterday. And I was looking at it on the daily, and I was like, man, this doesn't look good. This doesn't look good. I would speculate on, you got to get a bounce on the 618786, which I think we did get a bounce, right? And I was like, man, if you bounce from here, right? We were talking about it right there on that wick, right at the end of the stream. That could have been your bounce, right? And we talked about a trade scenario where you put a stop below the 786, right? Out of that cup and handle, and you got the movement to the upside. So that's really awesome to see for TARS AI and anybody who is a holder of that. I'm not saying I called that in any way, shape, or form. It was just a trade idea. But yeah, you did get that reaction off the golden pocket zone and looks really, really good off of a bullish engulfing candle that engulfs the last week of negative price action for TARS AI. All right. Let's take you get excited when you make $1. So now you get a shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. We all need, look, I'm a big fan of the saying, you build a house one brick at a time, baby. You build a house one brick at a time. You don't have to have all the bricks there. You get a brick one day, you get 2 bricks the next day, you lose a brick, and then you find 5 more bricks, and then, eventually you have enough bricks to build your house, man. So I love that saying. It's something that I stood by. So I want to give you guys a snapshot, right? And look at these trending coins: trending Sol, XRP, Sui, Pepe, all coins that we've talked about today. We haven't talked about XRP. I'll dive into the XRP chart. Let's dive on in. So XRP getting that nice bounce. So XRP is coming up to the, in my opinion, make or break zone. It really is, right? So. And I talk about that being the 200 MA all the time. We talked about that coming down. If you close below the 200 MA, that's bad sign, right? So right now, I don't know what that was. What in the world? Oh, that was XLM. Good night. All right. So right now, XRP is sitting at a very, very key level. And I think XRP is likely going to consolidate, right? Here's the range I'm looking at. Between the point of control and the daily 200 SMA, this range is going to get tighter as the daily 200 SMA presses up into price action. You do have a very nice right shoulder, potentially head, and this could be your right shoulder. How many times has this played out on the channel in the last day or so? It looks very, very good for XRP for a potential reversal to the upside. I think that is very, very likely. Why is XRP struggling? Well, I think there's a lot of the other coins in the space that haven't received as much love, got a massive liquidity injection, and for those who are looking for the quick buck, may have scaled out of some of the higher cap coins and moved into things that are lower cap, trying to get a quick gain. So I wouldn't be surprised to see XRP, Solana, Cardano regain back up to where I think they really should have been on this move. So here we go. Why am I concerned about $2.41? I've talked about that level for weeks here on XRP. $2.41 is the point of control, and so far, the bulls have not proven to me that they are strong enough to get above 241, right? They haven't been able to, right, since this massive jump to the upside and then a tariff announcement. Since then, arguably, you've been trading inside and you deviated from the range a little bit, but you've been in this range for a number of weeks, right? In this range for a number of weeks. You've deviated for a few days, deviated for a day, right? Deviated for 2 days, a day, and then, back into the range. This is a key area, and this was a key range back here as well. Remember, you bing-bonging around in here. Bing-bong, bing-bong, bing-bong. So as Frankie Candles would say, Frankie Candles, another legendary trader as well. So shoulder, inverted shoulder, head, right shoulder. You need to get above 241. You close above 241, I think XRP is going to absolutely scream to the upside. I think the odds of us coming up to about that $3.10 region is really high. But I cannot talk about that scenario until XRP proves to me that it could get above $2.41 and retake that point of control. I want to see a break above and a retest. That would be your golden long area around that 240 range for XRP. Could you take out a long now with a stop below the 200 MA? You could, but with this wicked action, I would not be playing that. If Bitcoin did decide to pull back, you know, there's really no telling how XRP is going to respond. I think it's going to dump a little less than a lot of the altcoins that have pumped massively. The stochastics are reset. The RSI is at fair value. I think XRP is getting ready for its next move up. I don't think it's going to be a rocket shot like this, right, on the strategic reserve announcement, but I think you're going to get a slow grind up, test the high volume, though, get a break above, and then that retest would be what I'm looking for a long there on XRP. I'm not interested in shorting XRP until you break this 200 MA. This trade scenario, the same for the downside if you're interested in shorting XRP. Let me get rid of some of those nasty lines there. Good night. There's a lot of them. So in the event that this were to break down, right, this were to fake out and you get a massive bullish engulf or bearish engulfing and you started to trade around here and you started losing this red line that is going to continually trade up, that to me would be the golden short scenario. You could open up a short and take advantage of these massive gaps in the VRVP to the downside right now based off the current environment. I'm not saying to do this. It's just a trade idea. But man, the gaps in the VRVP are severe for XRP. And when I say severe, very severe, right? All the way back down from once it came at 51 cents. So I think it's going there? No. But, you know, I could see definitely, right, like in a capitulation event scenario back to 144 or 110. It could happen. It could happen, right? And you know, you would have to break that 200 MA, and it's not a trade that I'd be looking at to make right now. Absolutely not. XRP had a massive bullish engulfing candle that negated the last 7 days of negative price action. So XRP looks very strong here. I'd be looking for a break above the point of control and a retest of that 241 range. That's when I'd be interested, right? If you want to buy in spot, that's where I would buy in spot. I wouldn't be averaging in now, right? Just because of the potential risk to the downside. But you break above that point of control and you get back to it and treat it as support, oh, baby, you will get a monumental entry on XRP at that moment. I think that is very, very possible, and I think that's likely to come in the coming days/weeks. Stochastics reset, ready to go, make me think that that test of the point of control is inevitable, and hopefully a break above it. I see a move to maybe 260 and then back to 240, 270 and then back to 240, that 240 area being the key area to get in along there on XRP. All right, let's dive on into it. Woo, baby! I just feel so good today, man. Look at this bubbles. How you guys know we've been here for weeks, man. We've been here for weeks on this channel. Weeks. A legendary exchange if you guys never tried. Weeks on this channel. And have we seen bubbles like this? I don't remember a time. Not since I started streaming, man. Not since the Boys Crypto community came to life, baby. Yeah, we'll take a look at woo, man, where is it here? Where is it? Am I blind? H-bar, baby, H-bar. I was like, man, where is H-bar? Let's dive on into H-bar, man. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to you. H-bar sitting down here at number 18 at about 19 cents today, getting a pump of about 10 cents. Let's look at H-bar, man. One of the, you know, it was one of the coins that trended with XRP, you know, earlier in the run. And we talked about this here. Very, very key. All right, so we have the inverted shoulder head. A lot of these coins are showing this, man. The shoulder head, right shoulder, inverted slanted, which I like a little better for H-bar. Why do I like the slant better? Because when you break out of a slanted shoulder head, right shoulder, we came back down that golden pocket. We got the reaction. Let's clear this up here. So you got the shoulder head, right shoulder. Above the shoulder head, right shoulder, I will say this about H-bar. You're starting to reclaim this high volume node that's right here. You get above that, look at this gap, man. The gap up to 24 cents is nothing. There's no H-bar, hardly ever traded in between this 21 cent level, like the 21 cent level. Not a lot traded hands, suggesting to me that these were liquidation events both to the upside and to the downside. I think a gap up is very, very likely to 23 cents. And this inverted shoulder, head, right shoulder does paint the picture here for me on the smaller time frame. So let's see this here. We got the shoulder, we got the head, right? And it's kind of ugly. Look, it's kind of ugly looking. I would like the head to be a little like down here, right? Like for a shoulder, head, right shoulder, right? I'd like to see like something like this. But we're not giving that here on H-bar. A little bit tougher to call. That is very, very true. But I still see that as a very, very nice potentially coming, getting above that point of control. And not only that, but coming up to test the daily 200 SMA. You guys know H-bar is a mover, man. If H-bar makes a move similar to what it did, look back here. H-bar made this back here in November. You cracked the 200 MA and you went on a 453% run. You have not broken the 200 MA to the upside since then, just showing the power of the 200 MA. You get beneath it, you go on a dumper, baby. You get above it, you go on a pumper. This is serious. You get back above the 200 SMA for H-bar, and you could be looking at monumental targets. And I'm talking about if you come back up and test the highs, look at these Fibonacci extension levels that'll absolutely blow your mind. From swing high to swing low, if this is going to be your first high or low, your next higher high is likely to come in at 57 cents. And up here at about 84 cents. Can that happen at H-bar? Absolutely, in the right environment, right? In a quantitative easing environment, which we're likely to get here. Yesterday was so funny, man. Listening to Jerome Powell. Oh, man. Yeah, what are we going to do about the tariffs and the trade war? Are you guys changing interest rates? Oh, well, I don't know. I have no idea. What about the current unemployment rate versus interest rates? Seems like you guys are getting pulled in opposite directions. I have to wait for my data. I don't know. Right? It was a bunch of I don't knows. I have no idea what's going on. That is, and even Trump today in his, I don't know if you guys watched the press conference. He was like, I don't know what Jerome Powell's doing. He was like, what is Jerome Powell doing? He was like, I want him to cut rates. I think it's not because he hates me. I don't know all that drama, right? All that drama. But yeah, so H-bar looks really good. I want to see a break of that 200 MA, man. A 200 MA daily candle close above that 20 and a half cent level. 21 cent level is going to speak volumes to me. And you know when this thing moves, it can massively move. And if it moved now, that would catch everybody with their pants down, baby. That would catch everybody with their pants down. That's something that you want to see. You can kind of argue for a little. I don't want to stretch that far. I don't want to stretch that. Shoulder, head, right shoulder. You know, this is, let's see what the resistance line is here. You broke the resistance line, right? And if you take the wicks, even right here, you were teetering on the line and you got that reaction off. So I think the daily 200 SMA is definitely going to be tested. What supports that? Well, the RSI is still sitting around fair value, crossing your signal line, and stochastic RSI, just like almost every other altcoin out there, baby, is pointing violently in the upward direction off of the oversold conditions. I think that's very, very likely here for H-bar in the coming days, man. In the coming days, looks really good. Wow, in the last hour, we've seen some beatdown, baby. We see some beatdown. How's Sui doing, man? I just got to keep staring at Sui, man. I'm like eyes peeled to the chart. 396 looking really, really good. Shout out to each and every single one of you guys that took that trade here. I know it was a little panicky when we first started. Back here, this was the trade that we posted here in the group, baby, at BOYCECRYPTO102. Risk, reward, 3.8701. Coming down here at 275 stop loss. Super deep. You're feeling really good about where you are. You're sitting at about up here right now on that trade. Looks really, really good. It's taken at about 3x leverage. And whatever margin you guys want to use, hey, that's good. You know, good on you. You did have that day 4-hour bullish divergence. 4-hour bullish divergence, nothing to mess around with. We had the high volume node underneath us, and that 4-hour 200 SMA would have came up in our stop loss using those as our shields. And man, we got to move out of this bull flag. I see more for Sui coming in the coming days and weeks up to about 526. And honestly, guys, I'm going to keep you updated on this trade. I think this thing can be held for a lot longer than that. I may consider making this. I am considering and have considered and probably will make this one of my big long-term swing trades for the altcoin season. If we caught, I'm telling you guys, this is life-changing. This is life-changing, and I cannot repeat this enough. If we caught the top for Bitcoin dominance here, if this was truly the top and alt season is about to start, I'm telling everybody right now, if you're in the altcoins, that's where wealth is created. You could see 10, 20x gains on a lot of these altcoins, and I'm talking about even things that are potentially close to, if not in the top 10. I think these 20x's can come. Keep in mind market cap. I don't think anything in the top 6 is going to 20x, but I think they have the potential to 5, 6x, some of them. Right? I don't think Bitcoin will. I don't think Bitcoin's 5x in from where it's at. Again, anything can happen if we go on a massive super cycle. If this cycle's different. If this cycle's different, what's different about this cycle? We have ETFs and governments diving on into this asset class. So that is very, very different. The 4-year cycle may be broken. Eventually it will be. Eventually it will be. Will it be this cycle? Definitely could be. And we got to admit that this cycle has not been like the rest. This cycle has not been like the rest. I acknowledge that, and it's been absolutely crazy sticking it with you guys, man. It's been absolutely crazy. Let me refresh this chat here, baby. Let me refresh this chat. Man, I just appreciate each and every single one of you guys diving on in and being so supportive of me and this new channel. You guys are absolutely awesome and legendary. We go over the news. Any improvements, anything that you guys see that you guys would like to see more of? You guys like the altcoins better? You want to spend more time on the altcoins, more time on BTC? We could go over stocks. We could go over whatever you guys want. I love charting, man. This is my passion, and this is what I love to do with my time. This is how I earn my living, baby. This is how I earn my living. So this is what I love, man. This is what I love. So I appreciate each and every single one of you guys being here and supporting that. All right, so we went over HBAR, we went over VRA, baby, we went over BTC, we went over Pepe, we went over virtuals, we went over all the hot coins that are in the chat. Matt, thanks for your call out on Sui, Nasty Kid. Of course, brother, thank you for being here. And there's gonna be more to come, man. There's gonna be more to come, but it's not gonna come tonight. It's not gonna be like, oh my gosh, we got a long right now, right off this major green candle. Imagine if I was saying, okay, yeah, we broke out of that bull flag. Now's the time. We could have long here and put our stop below this. Like, that risk reward just wouldn't make any sense. So, hey, shout out to you, man. That reversal off of the daily 200 SMA, I talk about that every single day, man. I can't applaud you guys more for sticking with it. A lot of you guys have messaged me out on X and talked to me about different trade ideas. I encourage each and every single one of you guys to do that. Shoot me your trade ideas. I'll give it a look over. I'll give it like a, hey, that's a trade that I would take, or a trade that I would absolutely not. I'll give you the warning signs of what I think in the market. I like that community aspect of it. And this stream's pretty small now, so I reach that out to you guys. And when the stream does get bigger, if the stream gets bigger, hopefully it gets bigger, man. But if the stream gets bigger, I'm not going to be offering that out, right? I offer that out to you guys. Sin Nasty Kid, MH, Wanda, Christoph, all you guys, PMG, Corey, Wanda, Mom. Hey, what's up, Mom? You can always text me about anything. What's up, Mom? But you guys are absolutely awesome in this community. Reach out to me, man. Reach out to me. I like the close relationships I've been forming with some of you. So thank you. Thank you. All right, here we go. Jasmine for MH. Yeah, man, let's dive on into it. Jasmine, the Japanese Bitcoin, baby. The Japanese version of BTC. That's what I've heard it called anyway. I don't know if that's actually that's just what I've heard it called. That's just what I've heard it called. All right, let's look at Jasmine. All right, Jasmine. Let's see. I want to see it on the 3-day real quick. All right, so Jasmine looks pretty good. Coming up, testing the 3-day 200 SMA. That's okay. The daily 200 SMA still sits well above. That 3-day could give you indication of whether you break the 3-day, where are you going the 2-day, right? And you break the 2-day, you're coming to the daily, right? So that daily and the 2-day are kind of overlapping one another. I'd watch that 3-day 200 SMA and hopefully get a close, right? That will close tomorrow night just after the stream. That'll close tomorrow night just after the stream. So we'll track that, man. You got a high volume node underneath above you. So this 3-day 200 SMA is going to serve as resistance until it's not, right? Until you get above it. And then you have that point of control that sits just above you at about where, let's get this in here, the whole shebang. The whole shebang. So the point of control for Jasmine sits at about about just above 2 cents. 2 cents and 1/10 of a cent. So that's an area that you got to expect that there's going to be resistance, right? Coming up into this zone, right? Because you have the daily 200, you have the 3-day 200 SMA, you have the daily 200 SMA, which is probably sitting right around there, right? Around 20 or just above it. So you have the daily, the 2-day, and the point of control sitting just above you. I will say this for Jasmine. You did make a low. Very rarely do you see this in charts, and you see this with altcoins. This is why this season has been very confusing for a lot of people. You made a higher high, and then you made a lower low. That doesn't happen that often on like the macro time frames when you're speculating, right? When you're in a bull market, right? When you're in a bull market. With that being said, you swept out all the liquidity that has formed back here since the beginning of March. You've taken out all those lows and all those longs, right? So how many people are really long on Jasmine right now? You got to ask that question. True. So you are also coming up to this key area. I would love to see, and you're right on it, man. This previous support, flipped, resistance. I believe that's why you're struggling where you are right now on the weekly time frame. Look at this, man. This is perfect confluence. What I would love to see for Jasmine is for first to reclaim the support resistance. Get above this line and flip this, right? Or preferably get above the high volume node, flip it, get above the daily. You're going to have some resistance in here. I think one of two things is going to happen to Jasmine. Either A, it's going to be a slow truck up, and one of these things is going to put in that lower high for you, and you could bear flag here. You could bear flag to the downside for Jasmine. Do I think that's likely? No, I don't think it's likely, especially if the space is turning around. Like, you could consider this, right? Like, Like this could kind of be bear flaggy, right? You get a little bit of a bear flag in here. That's not what you want to see. You don't want to see any kind of flag formation to the downside like this, right? You break that bottom low, you can look for a lower low, a continuation pattern. That's not something I'd be speculating on for Jasmine right here as you're coming up to a key critical zone. Support resistance flip, that's above all else. If you don't trade using anything else, I use the 200 MA and the support resistance flip. This area, right, and you can see it on the 3-day, getting a little, based off the wicks, looking okay. But this area is support, resistance. You got above it, you fell back down, and now you're above it again on the daily, and you're right at that level. So I'd like to see some daily candle closes, this one closes in about 45 minutes. If you can reclaim this support level and prove that this is support level, even with a little bit of a retrace here, and then get that move, that would be the golden area to long. The golden area to long around 16.7, man. I think that's very, very likely to prove, to move to the upside here for you, for Jasmine, especially after you broke this once and the bears stepped in. If the bulls could step in here and reclaim at least the support resistance flip, preferably to me, the high volume node. I want to see the high volume node get cracked, man. That kind of stares me in the face. You're running into an area with Jasmine, like this entire area right here, this entire shaded region up to about 23 cents. Is that next 40-50% push is going to be difficult for Jasmine. It's just going to be more difficult than the rest of the coins because you have the point of control above you and you're underneath the daily 200 SMA as well as you're facing a support resistance flip right now. So I see a little bit of bounce chop action here for Jasmine. With that being said, if you break out of this, range, you could see some massive look, every time you get above this level right here, boom, massive push. Boom, massive push. I think Jasmine can see some massive gains in the event that you were to get above the daily 200 SMA. That's what I'm thinking for this asset, man. It's not really a clean shoulder, head, right shoulder here. It looks more like a bear flag to me, but if you can get above that support resistance flip, to me, support resistance flips trump any pattern, baby, any pattern. Support resistance flips, you reclaim that, and you flip that into support, man, that'd be looking so good. Preferably get above that another higher high, and then that higher low coming in at the point of control. That's where I'd be interested. I'd be sitting on the sidelines right now and observe price action a little more carefully, man. Just careful price action observation. I think this thing's going to do a little more choppy price action than the rest of the coins out there. With that being said, I believe once it gets through this resistance, I think it's going to be a blue skies kind of massive FOMO style run like it has happened back here in May of 24 and back in November of 2024, about 6 months ago. And 6 months before that, Jasmine went on some monumental moves. Look at these moves, everybody. These are no joke, 152% in no time. And from the lows here up about 254% from down here. These moves as well. You got above the daily 200 SMA and look, you never look back, a 500. Look, let's zoom in on here. This looks exactly how the Bitcoin bull market turned around. This is how the bull market started. You get above the daily 200 SMA, and then what was the perfect entry? That retest. Or you got real close to the retest, you front run the retest of the 200 MA. And that would have been your golden entry point. Your golden entry point for a 526% spot gain. Jasmine looks all right to me, man. I'd observe price action. That's going to be an interesting one to watch in the coming days. And what I do, right, because I don't look at every coin every single day. What I do is I always set alerts, right? I want to know, right? I want to know when price approaches this high volume node here, right? The point of control at about 20 cents. I want to know. Price reaches there, and that's going to be an area where I'm like, okay, I want to see how Jasmine reacts here. I would have had a, alert here at the support resistance flip, but I want to see how this reacts here at this high volume node area. Very, very important to me. And, you can set one at the daily 200 SMA. Click on the daily 200 SMA, and you can go over here to settings, and you can hit that's not what right click, and then you can hit add alert on the moving average ribbon. You want to hit number 4 right here. That's the 200 MA. And you want to hit create. That'll alert me whenever the price touches the daily 200 SMA. I'll get a loud, annoying alarm that wakes up the lady in the middle of the night, and she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, there's an imaginary internet money, and it's pumping to a key area, baby. I got to get up and check the charts. Woo! Oh, man, I'm just hyped today, man. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys for diving on in with me tonight. Synastic here wants to look at Cardano. Absolutely, brother. All right, Cardano, perpetuals coming up to the daily 200 SMA. Looks very, very good to me. This looks a little cleaner here, does it not? Let's look at it on the 4 hour here. This looks a little cleaner to me. This looks, let's get that out of there. This looks like a better shoulder, head, and a right shoulder to the upside. The neckline already cracked, in my opinion. That looks pretty beautiful to me. Shoulder, head, right shoulder, looking to break out of this neckline, taken from the wick right there. You can take it from the body or take it from the wick on pattern breakouts, right? Even when it comes to flagpoles and shoulder, head, right shoulder, I like to take from the wick. It's just something that I like to take profits on the way up. You are coming to a key resistance. What is that? Everybody knows here on the chart. The 200 daily SMA. Now you're likely playing 200 MA dominoes to the upside. Look at this: the hour, the 2 hour, the 4 hour, the 3 hour, the 4 hour, the 6 hour, the 8 hour, likely beneath you. Yeah, you're above the 8. Where are you going to come? The 12, man. You're going to come to the 12. Very, very likely you test the 12. And where are we right now? You are above the 12 hour 200 SMA. You crank that 12 hour 200 SMA to me. Likely you come to the 22. You're over the 22. Close that candle, baby. Just close that candle in the daily. To be tested inevitably, in my opinion here, sitting up at about 78.5. I'd like to see a crack above that level. Cardano can move, baby. Cardano can move, and it's an underdog right now. And I see targets here for Cardano on a blue skies breakout here. If that was a higher low, your longer-term targets for Cardano throughout the rest of the year, I think, sit up at about 185, 268, and yes, I think Cardano can potentially reach the highs and be one of the outperformers this cycle up to about 4.236. Why do I say that? Because if we do get any kind of confirmation of the U.S. government accumulating any more of the coins that are in the strategic reserve without any consequence to the taxpayer, you know it's going to run. Solana, XRP, Cardano. I'd be waiting on good old Donald Trump, baby, to get in. No, I wouldn't be waiting on it, but a catalyst news from Donald Trump, like the strategic reserve right here, caused a massive pump for crypto as a whole, but all the assets that were confirmed to be added or supposedly confirmed to be added to the reserve pumped absolutely massively. Cardano, more so than XRP and Solana. This was the winner, right? 74% in a single day. This thing can do absolute numbers when it breaks that 200 SMA. The last time it broke it to the upside was back here. Whenever you had a nice clean break to the upside was when during that news event. So very interesting. Inverted shoulder, head, right shoulder looks good to the upside, brother. I think this thing can do some massive damage. Watch it for the 200 MA retest, and let's see how the VRVP is looking. Are you above the point of control here on Cardano? You are. So now you're doing that ball rolling down the hill scenario. This was your ball right here, and you got above it, right? Your ball. That's not your ball. Let me get this out of here. Woo! Yeah, your ball rolling down the hill. You have your high volume nodes sitting here and likely to come down to where your next trough. And that sits up here weekly at about 9, weekly being like weakness, right? Weakness, right? Like me in the candy jar, weakness, baby. I can't help but snack on those Hershey's. Oh man, I'm telling you what, my lady and our other roommate likes to keep these snack jars snack bowls throughout the house. And I eat everything, man. I eat everything. I can't help it. I am a 450-pound man inside. I know I don't look like it on the camera. And shout out to all the 450-pound men out there. But man, my appetite, I can't stop eating those things. So whenever I go by, I'll reach in the bowl, I'll grab something. Then when there's nothing there, man, I can't control myself when it comes to food sometimes, man. I'm telling you. Ugh, not good. But yes, weak when it comes to the high volume nodes right here. That is a weak high volume node, a weak point of control up here at about 99 cents does serve as a very, very key area, and it shows. It shows why that area is pretty strong. This area sticks out as what? A resistance support flip. So this has served as support, right? Fell under resistance. Broke above, back above, below, resistance, support, fell underneath, resistance, right? Came up, you broke through, fell back below, resistance. That's going to be your next area of interest at about 98 cents. I'm a firm believer if you crack $1 again on Cardano, there's going to be a severe FOMO kind of style move for Cardano. And it doesn't look as pretty on Cardano. Why? Because of that massive, and the indicators got all annihilated, right? Because of that. But you can say you're in a falling wedge here and you're just ranging, right? You broke the pattern, you fell back inside, and now you're looking for that inverted shoulder, head, right shoulder to get you out of this pattern, man. And you can either observe this as a extrapolated bull flag, or you can just see that as a wedge, but it doesn't matter. Either way, it's going to give you some massive targets here to the upside. The wedge looking to break out here, taking you back to the high, and that's in confluence with the prior high at about 127 that was hit earlier in the year, or late last year, late in 2024. So I think in confluence, that looks very, very good. You have very, very little nodes above you, man, to stop you. I think when Cardano gets rolling out of this pattern here, breaking above the daily 200 SMA, it's going to be a storm that cannot be stopped. Shout out to you, man, if you own Cardano. I know it's been looking weak comparatively to the rest of the market, but you know what happens on those sleepers, baby? You know what happens on those sleepers? Everybody slept on virtuals at 50 cents, and now look at that. Everybody's Googling, what's virtuals? What is it? What? Virtuals? What is, I don't know, I've never even heard of this before, right? And yeah, and it's been a massive outperformer in the month, up 374%. Can that happen for Cardano? Absolutely. I think Cardano could be a massive mover in this game. I'm not saying it's going to 3-4x in like a month, but I think that it could do some massive damage in the space. One of the top 10 altcoins that hasn't seen that massive move, right? At least back to test the highs, because Cardano's all-time high, let us not forget, is way back here, baby. Way back here in 2021, up here at about $3.10. Can it revisit there? You crack this high, you know, that's a previous resistance, right? Support resistance flip on the weekly. This is going to be a very key range to reclaim and break above. You get a break above that. You get a break above that and a retest. You could look at taking the highs. There's no reason that you can't. This was a liquidation move right here. These levels have not been tested. There's gaps up here. There are gaps up here in the CME, right, that have been lasting for years, and that can potentially be filled this bull cycle. Very, very interesting. Thanks for putting that on our radar, man. And getting back above that weekly 200 SMA. Look at that. Above the weekly 200 SMA. It's a good start. Stochastics are pointing in the upper direction. RSI at fair value on the weekly looks very, very good for Cardano. Yeah, shout out to you guys. Hey, thank you, everybody, for diving on in with me tonight. I got some family coming on in here. We're about to grill out, have some burgers on this celebratory day for crypto. Look at this green across the board again. Are we going to get a little bit more pump a lump into the night just on the hour? Uniswap getting a little bit of love today. Man, that's cool to see, up 23%. That's crazy. Some of these things have legs. I don't think, man, Ondo, look at trying to push $1 again. This is kind of crazy. This is a crazy FOMO style movement. If you guys are interested in diving on into the altcoins, if you're interested in investing more of your money, I don't advise you guys. This is just for entertainment only. But if I were you and in your shoes, I'd wait for some kind of consolidation. This move, you're not going to see, look at dominance, man. This is my favorite. Look at this. Look at this. Roll, baby. Roll. We're playing 200 MA dominoes to the downside for dominance. We're underneath the 200 MA, broke beneath. We retested it. We're coming for the 3, baby. We're coming for the 3, and we're coming to it throughout the night. Looks very, very likely we test that. We test that. We'll test the 4. And look, because of the massive pump that we've had over the past 2 years, these are separated violently. That's what could lead to those massive alt seasons. Shout out to you guys. Thanks for being here. We went over all the coins in the chat from what I'm seeing. Much love to each and every single one of you guys. For those of you who won shirts last week, they are on the way to you via post, baby. Via post, USPS. I think some of them are coming in. I saw the tracking was like Tuesday. I know Washington was Tuesday. I think Sin Nasty Kid yours was Wednesday wait, what's today? Yeah, Wednesday or something like that. I didn't do like overnight 2-day, man. It was crazy what they were charging at the post office. I was like, dang. I was like, daggum, right? Like Mater says, I was like, good night. It's crazy to send stuff. Right? I was trying to send it in the smallest package possible, but I wanted it like in a nice presentation. I got some extra stuff in there for you guys too. But much love to you guys. Thank you for participating in this channel and for winning those giveaways. Much love, much love. I will see you guys tomorrow night on the live, everybody. Thank you for kicking it here with me tonight. It's been a super awesome day. Keep up to date with me on X at BOYCECRYPTO102 to get some more hot, juicy trade setups like this, baby. The ones I hold open for the entirety of the bull market are going to be few and far between. Longs, 3X, tight margin. I'll show you guys here. Long, 3X, tight margin right over here on Blowfin. Where are we sitting? Futures, baby. Futures. This trade is ripping to the upside, up 70% right now. Looking very, very good. I think Sui's going to do some massive damage this cycle, and we are going to get, well, look at that entry, baby. Boom. We got in around here. I'm not even going to lie. We got around here. We had that little dip, and I was like, right? And then we massively shot to the upside. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to you guys for showing you that trade. I'm going to post it on TradingView from now on. I think it looks a lot cleaner, a lot crisper, and I can put the, support resistance zones. It doesn't look as conjumbled, if you will. So much love, everybody. Thank you. Going to be holding out that trade, baby, throughout this bull market. Very, very likely we're going to take some profits at the previous highs, of course. And then we're going to let a runner, baby, and we're going to see what damage this thing can do. And we're going to be looking for the hottest setups as we go up into the coming week. Much love, everybody. I will see you guys tomorrow on the Boys Crypto Show. Until then, Boys Crypto is out, baby. We are out. Much love, everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow night on the live. Thanks for kicking it with me tonight. Much love.